Hello everyone again. Welcome to Five9 Software webinar, How to Manage and Protect Hyper-V with a Single Tool. My name is Alexander Karavanov and I'm going to take care of today's presentation. In case you have any questions, please feel free to type them into the question box in the bottom right corner of your screen in the GoToWebinar window. I'm going to start my presentation with a brief overview of what Five9 Software does, and as you can see I have our website in front of me, and you can actually see that Five9 Software is the management and security for Windows Server and Hyper-V. So these are the spheres we're working on, and for your info, our products are exclusively for Hyper-V. So as you can see, we have Hyper-V management and Hyper-V security products along with free tools. On the bottom of the page you can see the clients, our enterprise clients we worked on the projects with, and these are pretty big companies as far as you can see. So these companies use some of our products, and we have projects accomplished with them. Today I'm going to speak about the product which combines our main directions. So it combines Hyper-V management and Hyper-V security features, and this is the Five9 Security Standard product. So let's briefly have a look at its web page. The most recent version of Five9 Security Standard is version 3.8, and you can see the brief description of it on the product web page, including the benefits and pricing info. And to try it, you have a full functional free 30 days trial available. So to download it, you just need to fill in the tiny form on trial download page, and you'll get an email which will have the 2 links to download the product and license file included. So today I'm going to briefly cover the installation procedure, and we'll speak about the features and possibilities the product gives you on the Hyper-V environment. So after you download the files, you get these 2 archives, and you can easily extract them. So there are 2 files in the letter, as I mentioned before, the Five9 Security Standard main file and the Five9 Security Standard host service. The standard file has the host service included, but it also has the management console in. So management console is something you can use to manage the Hyper-V hosts from the management machine. That can be the Hyper-V host, or it can be Windows 7, x64 and up. So our tool will work on Windows 7 too. And the host service can be installed only on those Hyper-V hosts which have to be protected with Agentless antivirus, which is a part of the product. So I'll speak about it a bit later. So after you start the files, you'll launch the installation. As far as I have just one host in here, I am starting the installation of Five9 Security Standard for Hyper-V setup, which includes the management and host service. So I put in the license file, which I just received, and connect the product to the SQL database. So this will happen on the next step. So right now I pick up the options whether I want to start it automatically. Then I pick up the user I want to run it with, and that has to be a user with domain administrator permissions. So that's pretty important. See, the next step is the SQL Server configuration, and please pay attention to this step because you have to put in the server name and the SQL Express instance name in there. So right now I have the SQL Express 1, and if you're installing it on your environment and you have the existing installation of SQL Express or MS SQL, you just please specify the server name instead of local, and please specify the name of the database, so the database instance. After that, you connect to the SQL database, and we actually use it to store the logs available inside the program. On the next step, you finally install the security standard console. And after that, as far as I've selected the host service, we'll also launch the host service installation procedure. So right now I'm skipping that, and I've prepared the time window which actually allows us to skip the reboot process and all time-consuming ones. So as you can see that after we copy files and start the services, and the host and installing the 5.9 CBT driver, change block tracking driver, we are ready to go. So after we press finish, the Finance Security Standard installation asks you if you want to restart the host, and that's very important to do. So after you install the product, the host service, you must restart the host Hyper-V host. So after we've restarted the host, you can see the 5.9 Security Standard console, and this is actually very straightforward, and this is the one which combines the Hyper-V management and antivirus capabilities for the entire host for all guest VMs. And let's briefly have a look about the management functions and about the antivirus protection functions available inside the product. So this is the single tool which combines both of these very important features needed to manage and protect your Hyper-V infrastructure. So on the left you can see that I have the hosts available. So right now I've made a local installation of SQL database and 5.9 Security Standard, but I can have as many hosts as I have in the environment, so that can be absolutely any number. So if I need to add another host, I just specify the address for that host, and I specify the credentials needed to connect to that host. So we need administrators' credentials, but that can be absolutely any domain. So our tool is absolutely domain independent, and therefore you can even use your personal laptop which you bring from your home and back and forth, and as soon as you have it connected to the network, you can easily connect it to the Hyper-V host, and that's very important. This is the restriction which you have if you use the Microsoft one, so you have to have domain operating, and if something happens with that, you might have troubles connecting and managing your Hyper-V host. But right now, as you can see, you can specify absolutely any domain you have network access to, and specifies the username and specifies the password to manage those Hyper-V hosts. Also very important to mention that our tool supports different versions of Hyper-V hosts in your environment. So even if you have Hyper-V 2008 R2 SP1, 2012 and 2012 R2 running simultaneously in your environment, you'll be still able to manage all of this through the console. So this is you have the centralized management for all of your Hyper-V hosts. And once again, 2008 R2 SP1, 2012, and 2012 R2 are all supported. Also, whatever you see on your screen is available if you use the core version of Windows Server or core version of Microsoft Hyper-V Server. So this means if you have the PowerShell window only running on your screen and you want to manage your Hyper-V host, you're able to install the 5.9 Security Standard for Hyper-V locally and still manage your Hyper-V and troubleshoot the problems which might occur inside the system. So that's also a very important moment to note, and something which really helps inside your current infrastructure. So let's briefly have a look about the functions available for you inside the management console. So you can surely edit the name of data center unit, and all of these can be renamed, including the names of virtual machines. Of course, you can see the main functions like connect, settings, turn off, shut down, save, pause, reset, and snapshot. So all of this built-in native functionality is also available for you inside the 5.9 Security Standard for Hyper-V console. So let's have a look at pretty new features. So we've added the new Create Virtual Machine Wizard quite recently. So this is something which allows you to create virtual machines going step by step. including specifying, generation, assigning memory, configuring network, all of that done in a very intuitive manner. The next function is importing and exporting virtual machines. So right now that feature is also available for you, and you can surely adjust the settings. And if you bring virtual machines back and forth, this is something you are going to extensively use, and this can be also especially effective for development team. The next feature available is Hyper-V settings, and this is absolutely something you won't see anywhere else. So we allow you to copy Hyper-V settings between different hosts, and we are actually going to expand that pretty soon and put even more settings which can be copied. So right now you see that I can specify the same virtual hard disk's path, the same path for virtual machines, and including the allowing virtual machines to span physical NUMA nodes. So non-unified memory access, that's pretty important, and it's a great feature of Hyper-V. So that you can also manage that inside this window. And you see that you can apply them to other hosts. The create virtual disk option allows you to choose the format of disks and create them, and subsequently assign them to virtual machines. And of course, pretty important and convenient option like edit virtual disks, also available in here, so you can compress disks and so on. So the features which are pretty handy whenever you use Hyper-V environment. So these features are available for you from the management perspectives, and I believe that most of you have seen some of them before. It's great to mention that we also support that. But right now I'm going to show you something which is available only in 5.9 security standard for Hyper-V. So you know management function for this product. So right now I just mounted the transfer disk to the virtual machine, and the transfer disk is an analog to the external hard drive in the physical world. So the transfer disk allows you to transfer huge files between virtual machines and between virtual machines and host. So that's really time-saving technology and something which will let you do save your time when we're working with Hyper-V. So just mounted the virtual transfer disk to the virtual machine, and as you can see that it's available there as a transfer disk, so I can see that in Explorer. And if I access that, you see I have a couple folders in here. If I create a new one, you'll shortly see that it'll be also available when I mount it to another system. So we just created the new folder. Please note that we have 3 folders now sitting on the transfer disk. So right now, as it is analog to an external hard drive in the physical world, we have to unplug it, so unmount it from the virtual machine, and later on we are able to either mount it to another virtual machine running, or we can access it from the file manager available in 5.9 security standard. Once again, this is a very handy add-on available for you to use, especially on the core versions of Windows Server and Hyper-V Server, so you'll be able to manage your files in there. And it's also used to access the transfer disk, so you can access the files sitting on the transfer disk. So you see we just added the new folders being on the virtual machine, and it is available for us to use on the Hyper-V host level by itself. So you can easily access those files and move files back and forth. As you probably know that Microsoft just announced the session enhanced mode for Hyper-V 2012 R2, so you don't have to use that feature to transfer huge files when you use virtual hard disk, virtual transfer disk. So it allows you to transfer huge files up to 127 gigabytes in size, and it also doesn't use any kind of network connection to do that. So within the host, you can easily transfer these huge files and keep them there if needed, and also you're able to transfer the files between virtual machines and between virtual machine and the host if needed. So this is a very handy function, and this is something what people miss whenever they launch our product sometimes. So really pay attention. This is a time-saving tiny button which allows you to transfer files between virtual machines and host. So this is a very convenient feature, and quite a few of our customers are using that very actively whenever they learn about it. Whenever the virtual machine is off, you can see that you can also go on and export that, access the settings, and on the settings tab, you can specify the BIOS, memory, processor, and all of the main functions needed for Hyper-V in a really intuitive manner. And what's the most important about that, so that's also available for you even if you use the core version of Windows Server or core version of Hyper-V Server. On the Virtual Network Manager tab, as you can see, it is a very straightforward one, and something which allows you to create the virtual networks inside your Hyper-V environment. That will be external, internal, and private networks. You can surely assign your NIC to your external virtual network, and so on. So very straightforward, something which allows you to manage your virtual network inside your Hyper-V environment. And once again, this can be done even if your management machine is not running inside the domain. So even if your domain goes down, you'll be still able to do that. System status report is also a very valuable feature available inside the product. So System status report actually shows you the full picture of your Hyper-V host, including the summary, the CPUs assigned to virtual machines, the memory assigned, the disk assigned. So all of the very important parts which you really need to take care of, including the snapshots, integration services available for the virtual machines, and you can see the status of all of them. So snapshot is something you really want to monitor. You don't want to keep a huge number of snapshots sitting on your storage space. It takes a while to merge them all, and probably some of you are already familiar with that. So snapshots are also very easy to see and check out all together, and probably have some maintenance in case you need to take care of that. And as I mentioned, this is the full picture of your current Hyper-V environment, Hyper-V host, and it can be easily printed out or shared with your colleagues or managers or with your clients if you provide services, and in PDF, Excel, or Word format, and that can be pretty handy. And on POC state, this also really helps. So if you need to tell your boss, okay, we need to get more memory units, or we need to finally plug in extra couple sockets. So this is something which will allow you to show your boss what your current Hyper-V system is about, and show the narrow spaces if you have any, the bottlenecks, and get his approval in case needed. So on the failover cluster manager tab, you see that something is available in context of a cluster. On the current setup, we have the one host running, as I just run the installation, so I just have one host and no clustering here. But in case you have a cluster, you'll see the cluster shared volumes, so cluster storage. It's something is very important to monitor it from time to time and check out and set up. So this is something which is available for you on this tab right now. We also expand this functionality, and version 4 will include even more cluster management tools and features available for you. And for this time, so you can check out the cluster storage information, and you can also live migrate virtual machines between the cluster nodes if needed. So this functionality is available for you in terms of the Hyper-V management inside 5.9 security standard for Hyper-V. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them into the questions box. Right now we'll proceed with antivirus part, which is also a very important part of this product. So this antivirus actually is the agentless antivirus. It was the very first agentless antivirus available for Hyper-V, and we believe it is the one and only still This is the antivirus which can perform absolutely agentless scans of your virtual machines from the host level, because it can access the VHD and VHDX files directly from the host level. So this is something which can, really allows you to save the performance of your virtual machines. It allows you not to use any of the virtual machine resources like memory, CPU, even disk utilization will be much lower. So this is the antivirus which completely takes the load off your virtual machines, allows you to have the best available performance for your Hyper-V environment, and also it can perform a really light and fast, agentless full system scans of your virtual machines. So let's briefly have a look at that. And as you can see that at the top we have a scheduling window. At the bottom part we can see the already done scans. And let's have a look at one of the scan logs to understand the way our antivirus works. So the very first step is antivirus engine initialization. This is Viper at this point. We also have Sophos included inside the product, and what's really fantastic, you don't have to pay for extra engine even a penny. So that both of the engines are included for you to choose and use. So G5 Viper and Sophos, very well known, daily updated antivirus engines available for you to choose and use for full system scanning on your Hyper-V environment. So the next step we do is antivirus components update. Then we take a snapshot to support scans on 2008 versions of Hyper-V, and also to make sure you don't have any downtime while we are curing the virus. So the snapshot approach is a really beautiful approach we've found very useful for Hyper-V, and this is something which works for absolute majority of our customers. So whenever we take a snapshot, we are able to scan the snapshot rather than the live running virtual machine. And in case there is an infection in the system folder, for example, we can easily cure it inside the snapshot. And even if in old days antivirus you had to restart the entire host or entire virtual machine to cure the virus, so right now we just cure it inside the snapshot, and then we apply it to the virtual machine running live, and therefore there is no downtime of your virtual machine even if there was a virus inside, for example, the system folder. You see here, the next step, we retrieve CBT data, and CBT data is actually a very important part of our product. Probably some of you, most of you use the backup solutions. I heard about the change block tracking inside these systems. So this is something which allows you to perform incremental backups and do it really fast. So we've created the change block tracking driver specifically for Hyper-V, and this is something which allows us to perform incremental scans of the virtual hard disks, so incremental scans of your virtual machines. And you see the beauty of that, you don't have to scan the system over and over again when you perform the incremental scan using our change block tracking driver. You just scan those blocks of virtual hard disk which were changed since the last full system scan. So whenever you launch the full scan, initial scan, we collect the information about all the blocks which are occupied at this moment, and we record the data. So after that scan, we just compare the data, and change block tracking driver gives us the blocks which were changed since the last scan. So we see we retrieve that data, we estimate the number of files to be scanned. This is just 550 at this time. So you rarely change more than 2,000 files per day on your virtual machine, on your server, unless you install something, big, or you have file migrations. You'll have this kind of number available as estimated numbers of files to be scanned. So you see, compared to the full virtual machine scanning, 80,000 files, 800,000 files. So depending on the number of services you have, number of files, the full system scanning time can be really different. But if you use incremental scanning using the change block tracking driver from 5.9, you'll see that estimated number of files to be scanned will be really low. So you see that you just had to scan 550 files, and that was still a full system scan of your Hyper-V virtual machine. So after collecting that data, we started the scanning and we performed the incremental scan. And the scan itself took us 7 seconds. And the entire process took us 2 minutes 44 seconds. And that's really awesome. This is something which allows you to perform several full system scans per day if you need to. So compared to the old style antivirus scanning, which eats up your resources of virtual machines, and also which can cause antivirus storms to happen on your virtual infrastructure. So antivirus storm is whenever you have simultaneous antivirus full system scans happening that might cause a real significant slowdown of your infrastructure. So this is called antivirus storms. And I believe quite a few who tried to use endpoint protection, so old style antivirus inside the Hyper-V environment, faced that problem. And this is something we really allow you to absolutely avoid. So you'll have a best performance Hyper-V host ever. The mean time for scanning of your virtual machines actually varies from 2 to 7 minutes depending on the number of files to be scanned. Once again, unless you install something really big inside the virtual machine. So right now we just did the incremental scan and we found just 2 viruses, so our system is really healthy. So this is the log which really shows you what happens when you launch the scheduled scan of your virtual machines. Also, there is a way to scan your host. So whenever you create a job, you can also create a job which will be scanning your host system. This is something you don't have to do as often, but if you want to, our antivirus is absolutely hypervisor aware, so it won't affect your VHD, VHDX files. Yeah, so probably if some of you installed the old-fashioned antivirus solution on the Hyper-V host, they could have met the problem of deleting the infected virtual machine hard drives entirely. So this is something what we absolutely solve, and something what we give you with our absolutely hypervisor aware antivirus for Hyper-V. So you see you can scan VMs, scan host, and if you go scan VMs, you can see that you can choose between Viper and Sophos antivirus engines. Once again, both of them are available for you. Now you can specify the virtual machines to be scanned. So right now, just like the 3 virtual machines out of 4 I have on this host, then you can specify the extensions, the remove snapshot after scan. So that's pretty important because you don't really want to have too many snapshots sitting on your environment unless you have some kind of a snapshot policy. And if you have one, you can surely disable that checkbox and keep those sitting on your system. So you can, for example, tie the snapshot creation process to kind of a weekly antivirus scan process if you have that kind of requirement inside your system. On the very last step of the wizard, you can see that there is a run job immediately, delay run, the create your current job options, including daily, weekly, and monthly options. So let's create the delayed run for 28th of November. So right now, that's it. That's done. I have all the settings there, and as you can see, that it's added inside the full system scanning schedule right now. So it'll be run at 6 a.m. for that system. The very last step about the antivirus protection is called active protection for your virtual machines. As I just mentioned on the previous tab, antivirus allows you to create absolutely ageless, really fast incremental scans of VHD, VHDX files, so of your virtual machines, and do that from the host level. But to protect your system 100%, we need to enable active protection, which will be monitoring the interactions inside the virtual machine by itself. So that's important, and that's why we've also enabled the active protection tiny agent that you can push inside the virtual machine. So this is not a full-featured antivirus software. This is not the one which will be consuming your resources. This is just a tiny agent which processes the data to our antivirus anti-malware engine and allows you to protect your system in real time. So this is the active protection tiny capturing agent. That's what we call it sometimes. So as you can see, it's not a mandatory one. This is not the one which has to be run inside the virtual machine. So if you still have any kind of endpoint protection run inside your virtual machines, so you can still have them running and leverage our really fast incremental scans. But also one by one virtual machine, you can put in the active protection agent after you uninstall the old style endpoint antivirus. And you see that right now I have agent running and active protection enabled on 8.2 virtual machine. So let me install agent on 8.1 virtual machine. So Windows 8.1, and you see that just installed it there. So actually this step might take a bit longer, but and pay attention that the virtual machine will be restarted for the active protection agent function properly inside your virtual machine. So that's pretty important to understand and to know while you're doing the active protection. So you see that there is a way to enable active protection now for Windows 8.1 virtual machine, and you can still see that I have that enabled for Windows 8.2 virtual machine. So this is it for today. If you were trying to make that short and you're trying to fit it in 30 minutes. So right now, please, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. And those can be about the management and any antivirus features of our product. So we'll run the session for 5 to 10 minutes depending on the number of questions. Okay, we have a question about the Exchange server. So question sounds like, how does it handle viruses inside, for example, an Exchange server? For the Exchange server, you know that there are a few solutions which are specifically built for the mail systems, and actually, as far as I know, vendors, quite a few vendors offer the Exchange server protection, a very specific one, and our antivirus is intended to be used on the Hyper-V system. So it's built for Hyper-V, and it's created to squeeze out the maximum performance of your Hyper-V system. So it's not a specifically built product for the Exchange server. But you can certainly leverage the full system scanning or active protection for the Exchange server. Therefore, I still recommend you to use a very specialized solution to scan your emails, incoming, ongoing emails for viruses, because it's a bit different level of integration. Yes. So we have a question. If it replaces a file-based virus scanner. As you could probably notice that whenever our change block tracking driver gives us info about the blocks which were changed, we still check the files, because the anti-malware engines like Sophos and G5 Viper will still scan those files. But you don't have to scan all the files. So we monitor the change blocks, and we just scan those files which are sitting on those changed blocks. So we have a kind of a correlation about between that. So you figure out the blocks which were changed, and after that you figure out the files which are sitting on that blocks, and we scan them. So that's the way it works. Again, you certainly uninstall any antivirus which is sitting inside your virtual machine. The next question is, can you exclude the file folder scan? Yes, that can be done, and actually 3.8 version will be available on our site very soon. This is the one which will include the exclusion window available, and you'll be able to exclude folders or files if you need to from scanning, and that will be available for you whenever you do the wizard. So check carefully the snapshot tab of the wizard. Please feel free to also put the comments in the question box. So if you have any questions on both comments, we will be also happy to answer those and comment on those. Okay, we got one extra question, so we'll probably be able to answer that pretty fast before we finish the presentation. So if I understand correctly, on Exchange server, only need to install an Exchange AV and the 5.9 AV solution and exclude the Exchange file folders, of course, and then I have a fully protected server. Right, this is the way you should do that. So you still need the specific protection for your Exchange server, and if you exclude that from scanning it with 5.9, you'll be good. Does the security product include the firewall features as well? The 5.9 security standard for Hyper-V has management and antivirus features included. As of the firewall and intrusion detection features, you can check them out in 5.9 Security for Hyper-V Data Center Edition. So this is the product which will also give you the virtual firewall functionality natively integrated into the Hyper-V extensible switch, and this is something which allows you to completely isolate virtual machines from each other and control 100% of the traffic flying to and from virtual machines. So please check the 5.9 Security for Hyper-V Data Center product. Okay, thank you all for participation again. I believe that was the last question, and we are looking forward to meeting you on our next webinars, and also please feel free to use our full functional trials of the products to make sure that this is something you need to run on your environment. Thank you and good luck. Goodbye.